Thanks a lot for checking out ToddHaroldMusic.com. I'm Todd Harold. Wanted to show you maybe the tip of the iceberg of my teaching ideas and so on like that. We thought we'd start off with addressing the fundamentals. The fundamentals being sort of the metaphoric catch the ball, throw the ball, hit the ball. Now, the fundamentals when you play drums are controlling your hands and controlling your feet. I play soul music and blues, but no matter what kind of music you play, you're going to need as much as complete control over your hands and feet as you can have. So let's talk about how you achieve that. Now, let's talk about the way that you hold your sticks. Very fundamental thing there, the way you hold your sticks. So I've seen a lot of drummers that kind of have that thing happening where it's the whole arm. Now, these are large muscle groups. So at some point, you're going to lose all of, you're just going to hit a wall. You're not going to be able to play as fast as you want to play. You're not going to be able to play as cleanly as you want to play because you're not using the proper muscle groups. So let's address something that I first heard from one of the great teachers of all time, Jim Chapin. Jim Chapin said that he talked about the Molar Technique. Perhaps you've heard about the Molar Technique. He talked about that as being keeping your hand as if you were trying to get axle grease off of your fingers, that kind of thing. Now that's a long way from that, right? So just like that, like you're trying to get axle grease off your fingers. Now, a good way to approach this from a slow way would be to put your metronome on 40 and play some paradiddles. Now, let's talk about how you're holding the stick itself. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can create a fulcrum, because you need a fulcrum. You can't just hold on like that. You need a fulcrum. Now, you can keep your fulcrum right here in the first knuckle of the index finger, right there, the second knuckle of the index finger, or like I do, the middle finger, first knuckle. I sort of learned that from Stanton Moore after I'd tried a lot of other stuff. I took a couple lessons with Stanton Moore, and he kind of hit me to that. Now, you see people that play drums like this with all the fingers out. Now, that's just exactly the same as doing that with the arm. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep your fulcrum, and then if you've got that, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you decide you're going to play differently, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, but you want to keep your fingers wrapped around your stick. You just don't want to keep them wrapped around too tight, but you want to keep them wrapped around your stick. And then keep in mind that keeping the axle grease, getting the axle grease off your fingers kind of thing. So you've got that thing happening. And then you just try to match it up. If you play matched grip, you try to do the same thing, creating your fulcrum and then adding the fingers there. I play Vic Firth sticks, thumb on the H. That's gives you it's a nice place to think about having the sticks start. So let's look at how you would play paradiddles. This is a metronome. Don't play without one. Source of time is very important. You're the timekeeper. Everybody's the timekeeper, but you're the timekeeper. You're the guy driving the bus, right? So let's check this out. Now what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking a circular motion coming back, a big circle that comes back, and it's like whip, up, up. So let's look at paradiddles like that. This is 40, which I've heard described as the tempo of death. So this is nice and slow and will reveal all of the nasty stuff that you don't want anybody to see, so you can get it out of the way, you know, so you'll be cool. You know, if you can play it slow, you can play it at any speed. You just work it up from there. So let's look at how we do this. Now we're thinking about this as a whipping motion and then coming up. There's a constant circle happening, a constant circle, not whipping up at the end of the motion. It's a constant circle and it's moving all the time. So let's look at this. Paradiddle. Okay, now let's take that a little faster and see if we can still see that whipping motion, that getting the axle grease off of your fingers motion. There you go. Now that's just sort of the beginning of that. Now I want to show you a little exercise as well that I think is going to be really good for you as just as far as moving or warming your hands up. I've always found this to be a really good warm-up. I'm not sure who came up with this first. I'm sure I'm not the person who came up with it, but it's one of these things that I use with students, and I've been very successful. So what you're doing is I call this, these are triplets. I'm calling this the 1, 2, 3, 4 triplets. 1, we do 1 triplet per hand. 2, 2 triplets per hand. 3, 3 triplets per hand. And 4, 4 triplets per hand. Or 4 beats per hand within the triplet. Now you'll notice that in order for this to come out even, you have to play 2 measures of each, because otherwise it won't come out even. The 4s will mess you all up. So let's go through it one time, okay? I'm going to go through it, go through all 4 of those one time. Now you're going to need to do it twice to make sure you can come back out of those 4s, but let's check it out. And you're back at the top. Now let's run it through 2 times. Run the whole thing through 2 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Now these can do a lot, these exercises can do a lot for you. First off, getting those 4s happening, we're at 70 right now on the metronome. You get it up around 150, 160, all of a sudden you're really working and you're finding out what your hands can do and what kind of, you're going to need to adjust your technique at that point. You can also hear working 2s and 4s against the time, which playing triplets. Elvin Jones is a prime example of someone who used 4s against the triplet pulse. It's all over Coltrane and Wayne Shorter records back in the 1960s if you check those out. So if we take this just a little faster, now notice we're doing 2 measures of each. So we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 measures each, and I'll run through the whole thing twice. 1, 2, ready, go. I think you'll find it's a good warm-up. You can check that out whenever you are getting ready for a gig or you're getting ready to play your drums or whatever. Get on that pad and check that out. So we've got a ton of these that we can go through. There's tons of hand exercises that will help you out that I can hip you to here at the teaching studio. So thanks for checking this out, and I hope to hear from you.